Now, LA Knight was not on SmackDown. A lot of people were upset about that, but I'm not. I feel like they should have found a place for him. Don't get me wrong. I think LA Knight, all the fans clearly want him, but he wasn't on SmackDown. Instead, they released a digital exclusive where Hit Row was out there talking smack, and then LA Knight's music hit, and the crowd went nuts. He got in the ring. He beat up the entire tag team, and then he got on the mic, and he had them all doing the chant and the LA Knight, yeah, thing, and just watching that control that he has over the audience is of a level that we haven't seen since The Rock. And that video has got 1.2 million views on YouTube, higher than anything else in the company other than the Bloodline stuff. There's some highlights of SmackDown that have like 100,000 views on it. This has 1.2 million for this digital exclusive. And we also saw Austin Theory beating Sheamus, right? So there have been some rumblings of LA Knight working with Austin Theory. That would be a hell of a lot better than working with Logan Paul. I'm glad Paul is working with Ricochet now, because I was worried. I think Logan is going to have to get a win at some point. And I didn't want to see that come at the expense of LA Knight. So LA Knight and Theory, these two guys, it feels like they should be switched. LA Knight should have been the one beating John Cena at WrestleMania, not Austin Theory. Austin Theory has got a great look. He still has a bright future. He's athletic. He's got everything. He's the exact type of guy WWE just loves. But he ain't connecting anywhere near the level of LA Knight. And a lot of fans just kind of don't like Austin Theory very much. He can, he's looked like he started getting on the right track when he was kind of reborn there for a short time, but that fizzled. And he just ain't clicking, and he's held that championship. He's one of the longest running, reigning U.S. champions in recent history. And I feel like their spots on the card and how they're used should be reversed. And maybe that's what we're going to see here. LA Knight might challenge Austin Theory for the U.S. title at SummerSlam. At least that's a match I've seen tossed around on social media a couple times. And I like that. I like the way that sounds. So let's do that. WWE did not plan this. They didn't see that he was going to get over to this degree. And one thing I hope WWE has learned since Daniel Bryan is that when you see an opportunity, don't squander it. And maybe since this uprising of popularity in LA Knight wasn't necessarily planned, maybe that's actually what they're doing. That's why and I know I'm always glass half full, but maybe I'll give Triple H the benefit of the doubt that maybe he does see all this. And he just wants to make sure that when it's time to push LA Knight, they put him in the right direction, because they did not have these type of plans for him. So now that they see how he's getting over, okay, whatever we do with him, let's make sure we do it right. Let's just let him simmer for a minute, develop some creative plans, and then maybe we can put him in place by SummerSlam. That's what I'm hoping is going on right now. Because if this company is ignoring the reaction from the crowd that this guy is getting, that's really not going to be in line with how WWE is operating right now. There was a time when they would be ignoring shit all the time. They didn't give two craps what we thought. And if anything, they were outwardly and purposely trying to do the opposite, to troll us. But now they've been sold, and you got networks to please and you got ratings to get. There is no reason for them to do any self-sabotage here and to not push the guy just to spite the fans. There is way too much at stake now for that. You can't be fucking with us like that anymore. If you got an opportunity, the networks are going to want you to do it. The Endeavor is going to want you to do it. And the fans are going to want you to do it. And the last thing you want to do right now is purposely piss off the audience that is turning out in record numbers for you. So that's why I just feel like sanity has to prevail here. And all these people worried about, WWE is so stupid, they're not doing anything with LA Knight. I think they're going to do something with LA Knight. I just don't think it's possible for them to have this level of blindness or ignorance or stupidity to see the reaction that LA Knight gets and see how much he makes the fans happy, and then to purposely not do anything with him. I feel like a push is coming. If the plan is for him to beat Austin Theory for the U.S. title at SummerSlam, great. Now he's U.S. champion. Now you got a belt on him. But a guy like that over, I don't even really need a belt on LA Knight. I just want to see him in doing meaningful stuff. And he's not really in a position to be a world champion right now. He's on SmackDown with Roman, and, unless he leapfrogs a bunch of guys, if his popularity really grows and then Roman wraps up his business with Jay, he might need an opponent, but Roman doesn't really work the in-between pay-per-views. I don't think Roman is going to be defending his title in September or October, unless it's a Saudi show or something like that. So I don't even know how you really get him elevated to the top. So maybe U.S. title is the best you can do. And beating somebody like Austin Theory would really get him even more over. Not that he needs it, but that would be almost like the sweetest win, I think, for the fans, because nobody, from what I can tell, likes Austin Theory. I don't see anybody on the Austin Theory train. I don't see any stans. I don't see any Austin Theory stan accounts. If that's the plan for him to beat him, not only is that going to be great because it's going to give LA Knight a big win at a pay-per-view, it's also going to give LA Knight a championship, and it's going to have one of the most over baby faces you have beat one of your most least over heels and somebody that really the fans don't care for. So what an ovation. What a pop. Winning the U.S. title at SummerSlam, you got to do that. Theory, from what I understand, is not involved in any feud really right now, right? He's beat Sheamus, and I don't think he has any ongoing issue. So the table is set. If WWE passes on this, they are smoking crack. Kevin Nash had some things to say about LA Knight. This doesn't even make me mad. I love Kevin Nash. I don't care what he says. He called LA Knight, I guess on his latest podcast, a Rock ripoff. He's like, am I the only one that just thinks this guy's a complete ripoff of The Rock? But then he admits that promo was the first time he had ever seen LA Knight. So he hasn't seen any of his work when he was Eli Drake or anything from TNA or anything else. He's just been made aware of this guy now. He sees one promo, sees Rock-like mannerisms, which he definitely does have, and calls him a ripoff. And fans got mad. And I'm like, all that was phrasing. If Kevin Nash would have said influenced by, am I the only one that sees that this guy is really influenced by The Rock? Nobody would be pissed. But he used the word ripoff just casually, and fans flew off the rails. I'm a huge LA Knight fan, but I am not in the least bit offended. What Kevin Nash says could give two shits. The dude is so out of the loop. He didn't even know who the dude was until he saw that first promo. If that's his initial reaction to him, that's pretty fair. I think anybody who is a wrestling fan and is looking and watches one of his promos for the first time is going to see The Rock. One thing I'll kind of side with the fans on is that one thing Kevin Nash has to understand is that, and I'm sure he does, of course he does, he's not dumb, many of the most over acts in wrestling history have been lifted from someone else. Rock is really influenced by Austin Idol, Iceman King Parsons, and Hogan, Steiner, Jesse Ventura, all patterned themselves after Superstar Billy Graham. Superstar Billy Graham really ushered in that type of character in WWE. And it took a break with Backlund for a few years. But when Hogan came in, a few years after the Graham era, he took a lot of that, and so did Jesse the Body Ventura. There was a lot of clones that were trying to do that. And because they saw that was a formula that worked and worked well, and tried to emulate it. And that's how wrestling is. Every wrestler is influenced, inspired by other people. Look at what Rey Mysterio did to the business. That's why I always believe that Rey deserves to be like top 5 all time because of his influence. And all LA Knight is really doing is looking at what has worked better than anything else and drawing inspiration from that. Just like Hogan looked at what Superstar Graham did better than anybody else and took inspiration from that. That's what you would do. That's what I would do. I would look at what has worked in the past, and I would try to incorporate that into whatever kind of wrestler I'm going to be. And LA Knight's got those mannerisms. He's got that look. He's got the physique. He's got the body and the glasses and all that. He looks great, and he does the shtick well. And The Rock and Austin both, especially Rock, is on such a legendary status that his shoes are never going to be able to be filled. And if there was somebody coming around that tried to be him, but was so clearly not him, you guys know how we are. You guys know how wrestling fans are. They would shit all over it. They would reject it. So I think it's a pretty big compliment to LA Knight, the fact that he's able to pull off a gimmick like this that's going to be compared to The Rock, that's still going to draw Rock-like reactions. He is. I don't think anybody's going to exceed the pops of Austin and Rock. I lived those. I experienced those in person. They're insane. But you heard the Garden on Friday in that YouTube video. You've seen how LA Knight can whether he's backstage and doing an interview or he's in the ring cutting a promo, the fans chant right along with him. They're completely dialed in to everything he says, eaten out of his hand. And there have only been a few guys in like the business's history that have been able to do that with the fans to that degree. And LA Knight is doing it. That's why I don't think Triple H is that dumb. They're gonna do something with him. It's coming. It's coming.